do what thou wilt. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of 7 Minutes with themagus, featuring your host, Omega Logion, magus of the Aeon of M.I.X. In this episode, I want to talk about the Holy Books as a whole. This is the last of Series 3, and so I want to wrap up my discussion about the Holy Books that I have channeled for the Aeon of M.I.X. There are 14 Holy Books in our corpus in total. 7 of them happen to be called Liber something, and another 7 are called the Book of something. There are 2 of them that we didn't talk about in these episodes because they don't really translate well to audio. They're really better read off of the printed page. And they're called the Book of the Auburn Fox and the Book of the Crystal and the Peacock. The other one that we haven't talked about yet is the most important of all of them and the most controversial. We're going to leave that for the next series to go into that one in depth. But what I want to do in this episode is talk about all of them put together. So, we have 14 holy books with about 27,000 words, and the gematria of all of them put together, including the foreign letters and the verse numbers in Liber Luxerat and Liber Ma, is a really big number. The global sum is 1,230,022. Now that's not only a really large number, but a rather uninteresting one until you look at it in exactly the right way. Now let's take a step back. The name of the Aeon is Ma-Ion, and this is derived from the work of Frater Akkad, who announced, prematurely as it turned out, that the Aeon of M.I.X. was going to begin in 1948. And he associated this word Ma-Ion with that Aeon. He got it by looking at the last verse of chapter 1 of the Book of the Law, which says, "The manifestation of Nuit is at an end." And he thought, maybe the ends of the word manifestation have the letters that have something to do with Nuit. So he took the first 2 letters, Ma, and the last 3 letters, Ion, and he made a synthetic word, Ma-Ion, which he transliterated into Hebrew. Now, it turns out that Mem, Aleph, Yud, Vav, Nun equals 107. And it's really very much like the name Ammon with a Yud put in the center of it. The word Ma-Ion begins with 2 letters that equal 41 and ends with 2 letters that equal 56, and they're divided by a Yud. And that reminds us of that 41 majors and 56 minors in the Minchiati tarot that we talked about in a previous episode. Be that as it may, if you multiply Ma times Yud times Un, you get this number, 22,960. That's a really important number. Now let's take another step back. In the Book of the Law, chapter 1, verses 24 and 25, Nuit poses a mathematical riddle related to her name. She says, "I am Nuit, and my word is 6 and 50. Divide, add, multiply, and understand." So when we look at that, we will take her name, Nuit, which is spelled Nun, Vav, Yud, Tav, and we will take those 4 Hebrew letters, and we will divide them in half. So Nu is over here, and It is over here. Then we add the 2 halves. Nun plus Vav is 56. Yud plus Tav is 410. Then we multiply those 2 halves. 56 times 410 is 22,960. Okay, that's our magic number. Now let's go back to the global sum of our holy books. If you take that number, 1,230,022, and you divide it by Nuit's magical number that we derived from her name, 22,960, you get 53.572382. Now, if you take that same number, 1,230,022, and make it the surface volume of a tesseract, something really interesting happens. Now, we're dealing with multidimensional beings here, and they transmitted a formula in a multidimensional way to prove its accuracy. The surface volume of a tesseract is made up of 8 cubes, and that's how you get the surface volume. If we assign this number, 1230022, to the surface volume, the edge length of that tesseract is 53.572386. In other words, we are off by 0.000003. So we are dividing the surface volume of a tesseract by almost exactly the number we got from Nuit's name. The ideal is off from the actual by 5 decimal places. That's extremely accurate for a number that represents over 1,000,000, 27,000 words, 14 holy books transmitted over the course of 2 years. It is simply not humanly possible to calculate that exactly. These were divinely inspired words. These were engineered to be very, very accurate. I bring all this up to say that we have vetted these holy books and we have ensured that they are genuine so that going forward we can rely on them in our calculations. They are the real deal. They are authentic. And we're going to be digging into lots of them in the next series, especially the most important one of all of them. I hope you'll join me for future episodes when we do that. But until then, don't forget, love is the law.